Welcome back. The Young Communist League of South Africa's 6th National Congress will begin on the 6th of December of 2022. Now, earlier this week, the League held its special National Committee plenary when they discussed the League's readiness for its 6th National Congress. To unpack this, Mzwandile Thakhudi joins us now, who is the YCLSA spokesperson. Mzwandile, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, as stated, you held a meeting on the 13th of November. This was a special meeting in discussion, the road to December 6th. What's your state of readiness?
I would say thank you very much for having us, and greetings to the viewers. And immediately thank you for the question. I'd say the Young Communist League of South Africa is indeed politically and organizationally ready to convene the 6th National Congress per our constitutional prescript that each and every 4 years we have to, as the Young Communist League National Committee, in this case the 5th National Committee, will be convening the National Congress here in Gauteng province.
Right, so you're quite ready. I just want us to take a step back. I mean, in 2003 was the relaunch of the YCL after it was banned since its inception before 1950 because of the Suppression of Communism Act. And then the YCL stood for the rights of South Africans, especially young people, against apartheid. In post-democratic South Africa, a couple of years on, what would you say are the objectives of the YCL and rather the relevancy of your organization in today's world?
All right, I'd say you quite correctly, the Young Communist League was banned in 1950 together with the South African, the Communist Party of South Africa, and then relaunched in 2003. And then, like we were saying, this year we're turning 100 years since our founding as the Young Communist League, and during our centenary, we did say that through our theme that we have been pioneering youth struggles in this past 100 years, and we did also point out that we find the Young Communist League as one such an organization that still retains its relevance even now, just 19 years since its re-establishment or relaunch in Vaal, primarily because the state of young people is still dire in the country. For instance, we pointed out in our recent National Committee meeting that we have observed that close to 2/3 of the South African population is made of young people. The globe as well is made of is becoming younger. But in our South African context, we observe that we have 70% of the youth population that is unemployed. The statistics South Africa shows us that majority of young people are being dejected and discouraged from seeking employment, are not in school, not in education, not in training, and variety of other issues related to be it other social ills that ordinarily the youth will divert their attention to, such as...
Specifically on the issue of the youth, in your statement, you specifically say that the unemployment, underdevelopment, and inequality of South Africa's youth is closely linked to the unequal control over the land issue, and you're also calling for the judiciary to be objective when it comes to land and expropriation without compensation, because that ties directly within the issues of poverty and unemployment, specifically to the young people of South Africa.
Yes, and we're very firm in that view, because I've always said that the greatest problem is a problem of property relations in our society, of which dominant ideas in our society are those of global transnational conglomerates that are deliberately prioritizing and maximizing profit before the people. And it is our view that many jurists, researchers and activists have always pointed out that there's not much of, for instance, case laws on the matter of expropriation without compensation, though progressive forces attempted to amend Section 25, which is the property clause of our Constitution, to no success due to the lack of necessary figures or numbers required to amend the Constitution. However, we are maintaining that the government must be bold to expropriate land for public interest, especially abandoned land held for speculation, land with absent owners, land with, for instance, of course, land held for speculation and then unproductive land. That could be a good starting point for really to have a way of reindustrializing our economy and creating employment for young people. And we've since said this is a necessity for our government to do, because unemployment is in pandemic levels. It is unprecedented levels of unemployment that we're observing in our country, more particularly among young people.
Beyond the government, who else and what else do you believe can be done by society and the youth themselves in coming out of this pandemic that you have termed?
All right, thanks. You might be aware that, for instance, in our country, South Africa, resources by private sector have been diverted to financialization of our economy instead of investing in productive sectors such as manufacturing, mining, agriculture, tourism, and many other sectors. Business or private sector choose to venture into speculation. For instance, the value of the companies combined in JSE is more than the GDP of the country itself. So that is evident that there is somewhat investment strike on the part of the private sector. So we are of a strong opinion that there's ought to be regulation of for instance, the illicit capital flight that we are seeing. Instead of injecting more companies, for instance, we've had Eskom taking some investments from here, creating jobs. In fact, not Eskom, Sasol firm, and investing elsewhere. Many other companies that would have pointed out that, and that is the case in the midst of also retrenchments that we are seeing. We are aware that even our government that we thought would be progressive, but now intends to retrench people, setting precedent for private sector. We are aware that even Sibanye intends to do that, and which is a move that we are saying we are going to oppose by practical action, not just by words. We will be side by side with the workers to ensure that such injustices don't take place under our watch when our government has allowed some of these things to take place under their watch.
You mentioned retrenchments, and you've, as an organization, termed some government deployees as political freelancers who are just acting without noticing that the damage that they would cause, especially on people that are being employed, especially after the announcement by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana with regards to the possible retrenchments of public servants. How else do you believe the issue of a bloated government system can be tackled? I mean, on the one hand, we speak of not having enough nurses, not having enough teachers, not having enough policemen, yet we are retrenching. Is it a matter of government being bloated in the wrong places, or simply that we just need to look at the entire structure when it comes to government employees?
All right, thanks. It's surprising that we are told that government structures are bloated and all of that, when we are aware that there are high vacancy rates, for instance, and then when we also are aware that in most government departments, People who do this work is young people, especially those who are in interns. That is to showcase that there is work. The point is just really socialization of resources, that the cake becomes bigger, that everyone else can be able to get a share, more particularly the workers and the poor. That we also say, having observed that as a YCL, we have had our consistent campaign on right for work, right to work in our country, and as a result, come the 1st of December, we will be in Mpumalanga marching directly to Eskom and some of the mining conglomerates that side, to ensure that there is no mine that will be closed, and therefore cutting employment opportunities, plunging young people in particular to poverty, because we noted that even these retrenchments are also discriminating young people because of a policy of last in, first out. So ordinarily, the last one to enter will be a young person. So it means it is targeting young people.
They would be the ones who would bear the brunt the most.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Mzwandile Thakhudi, for joining us this evening. And we do hope that you will have a successful 6th National Congress. That was the spokesperson for the YCLSA speaking to us there about their state of readiness and some of these social issues that they had discussed in the lead up to the 6th of December. When we